Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Marissa Ramos, and I am the Student Admissions Advisor for Willis College. Tonight, we'll be answering a lot of your questions you have about our program, the career opportunities, the schedule, delivery, and of course, on how to get your career started as a dental assistant. I know that we have a variety of attendees here this evening. Some of you are potential students, some are already working in a dental office looking to further your career, and we also have some office managers and dentists with us who are looking for information on behalf of the employees. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully you can all see the screen here. So what is a dental assistant? So basically, a dental assistant obviously is going to support dentists, dental hygienists, dental therapists in the dental office. And you'll notice here, some of the duties include, but are not limited to, scheduling appointments, accounts receivables, inventory control. They educate patients concerning oral hygiene, preparing patients for dental examinations, and assist dentists during the exams, sterilize, maintaining instruments and equipment, prepare dental instruments and filling materials, perform and develop x-rays, polish teeth, apply fluoride and sealant, also taking preliminary impressions for diagnostic casts. And we also perform intraoral duties such as removing sutures, taking and recording vital signs, apply desensitizing agents, topical agents, and apply and remove rubber dams. And I like to say that dental assistants are literally the dentist's right hand, unless of course they are right-handed. So for those of you that weren't familiar with what the role of a dental assistant was, that is again, some of the duties, but not limited to. Okay, but next question is it right for you? Is being a dental assistant or taking the dental assistant program right for you? Well, we like to say that the program is an excellent fit for someone who wants to someone who wants to work in the field of dental health, someone who enjoys helping others with their oral health, someone looking for job stability and regular hours, someone looking for a career that is in demand, and someone who works well in a team environment. And I wanted to speak to point number 4 for just a second here, because if you don't know, now you do. There is a huge demand for dental assistants, not just in the Ottawa area, but in all of Ontario and many parts of Canada, in all honesty. So now is a great time to look at going into this career, especially because of the way we deliver the program. Having it as a distance program, being the first school in Ontario to run this dental assisting distance program is something that we pride ourselves on. And so we're definitely going to talk a little bit about employment opportunities and the way the program is delivered. So dental assistant graduates are sought after by dental offices. Graduates pursue professions such as, of course, chairside dental assistant, intraoral dental assistant, dental reception or treatment coordinator, or a dental educator with further training. Just some basic salary information taken off of the National Occupation Classification. Average wage anywhere from $22 to $30 an hour, depending on where you work. I have heard that some rural areas and some offices are paying a little higher on the scale, perhaps due to that large demand. I can't say for certain, but certainly feel free to check out the website for opportunities, Indeed and whatnot, to see what is out there. And I'm sure you'll find exactly what I'm saying, that the demand is there. Okay, next slide here is the program overview. We're going to get right into that. What I wanted to talk about first with regard to the overview is, again, it's a distance program. The program length is 44 weeks, 48 weeks with breaks depending on when you're looking at starting. The total tuition is $15,950. Our dental assistant level 1 and level 2 graduates are recognized by the NDAEB, which is the National Dental Assisting Examining Board. All students must apply and write for this exam after graduating from the program. We actually, as part of the program, and Lisa will speak about that in a little bit, is we prepare our students for this exam because, of Of course, it's of utmost importance, and we want to make sure that our students have the right training and are fully prepared to be successful in this career. In addition to that, the ODAA, the Ontario Dental Assistants Association, as well recognizes our program. Now, Barb, was there, just wanted to take a pause here. Any questions that have come up in the chat box at all?
I have not seen any questions yet.
Okay, feel free to ask if there are. I'm going to continue on. So, okay. So the schedule, this is where it gets exciting, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. It's not like our typical Monday to Friday, 8 to 4 in a lot of schools. The way the distance program is delivered is in a sense that we're kind of catering to the students who don't have the ability to sit in front of a class or in class 8 hours a day, and B, for the employers. We find that dental offices, because of this demand, the demand is now, not at the end of your year. So we could, we offer the program on campus where the theory is done up front and practical skills take place on campus. And then they go to their placement at the end of the program, which is typical, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we wanted to, again, be able to contribute to filling that void and need for that demand in dental offices. So the way we deliver the program, first 3 weeks of school is done in a theoretical Zoom component where you're learning all the theory. Now, some of you might have a background, some of you are dental assistants or dental office administrators already, and that's totally fine. We're going to teach you the fundamentals, whether you have it or not, Monday to Friday for the first 3 weeks from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. From weeks 4 to 23 for, I guess, the first half of the program, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you'll be in class, theory, virtually, from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or a minimum of 10 hours a week, you'll be in the dental office. What this is doing is obviously giving our students a lot more of that practical experience, having them see what it's like to work in the dental office as they progress through the program, and obviously learning from the people around them. The halfway point of the program, you're going to come to campus. That's here in Ottawa, and you'll notice there that the schedule is from Wednesday to Sunday from 8 till 4. So it's a full-time schedule over those 2 weeks, and that's where you're going to encompass the clinical evaluations. I believe the HARP certification of the dental radiography is taught within that component. And then before you go out to or go back to the dental office where you go 3 days and 2 days a week, you'll actually, Lisa, correct me if I'm mistaken, be able to push the button and be able to contribute a little bit more to the dental office. We actually provide our students with a letter with an expiry date so that the employer is aware that they have the HARP training and certification and are able to contribute in that facet. And then once, of course, they graduate, then that letter expires because they'll have their diploma and certification. Weeks 26 to 39, we go back to that 3-day, 2-day schedule. Weeks 40 and 42, full-time right in the dental office, which is fantastic because that dental office is very excited, probably, chomping at the bit to have you fully employed and all theirs. Last 2 weeks of the program, and I've heard students say, goes by really quickly. The first couple of weeks, I think it's going to drag on. The last couple of weeks, they don't want to leave. But the last 2 weeks is delivered on campus because that's when you're doing your, your final competencies, clinical evaluations, and us making sure that you're prepared, again, for the NDAEB, making sure you've got the skill sets that you need to get out into that field. And on that note, I just wanted to talk about the times and why it's delivered in that fashion. Again, catering to both the student and the dental offices. Although it is a good chunk of the day of 5 hours, there is still opportunity for our students to work in the dental office, whether it be in the afternoons. The Tuesdays and Thursdays, I mentioned, or 10 hours a week. We are flexible in that. If the Tuesdays and Thursdays don't work, then and you need to make arrangements with that, certainly we can work with you with that regards. Lisa, anything to add to that schedule spiel I just went through? She's the instructor, so she knows best how to give you the ins and outs of this.
No, as far as the schedule, looks like you've got it all there. I think it's good.
Perfect. I do see a question that's come through. And I see
Yes,
yeah, it's a great question, and we get it all the time. But I will let Lisa answer the question of, can dental office placements be in specialist offices?
Well, that is a good question. And we actually have our students go to a general practitioner's office just so that they're able to develop all of the skills necessary to be a level 2 dental assistant. In the second term of the program, the students will have already had 200 hours in a general practitioner's office. So they do have the option at that point if they would like to do the second term in a specialist office. So term 1 needs to be in a general practice, and then term 2, we have the option of switching to a specialist if that's what the student would like to do.
And I think that question also arises because there are some dental offices, or sorry, some students that already work in dental offices and want, specialty offices, and obviously want to further their education. However, having those fundamental practice and skill sets that you learn from a general practice is absolutely important. Again, preparing you for that NDAEB. Is that pretty much on par, Lisa?
Yes, I think that there are a couple of students in this situation, and there are ways to also allow them access to a general practitioner's office because we have the flexibility with the time and the hours per week that we're doing. I think that some of the students, their offices, because they're already there, their offices are willing to add in some of the extra training, or they could also add some hours onto their schedule to be in the general practitioner's office and then still continue to work at the specialty office until, term 2 starts. So I think there's some ways to accommodate that in the program also.
Okay, perfect. Barb, anything to add to that?
No, I think Lisa's covered it very well. We do have another question in the chat though. The question is, while in training, are students paid hourly by the dental clinic? Marissa, do you want to speak to that?
I can answer that question absolutely, but I have to answer it in 2 different ways. And the answer is, it depends. If you're actually a student who's already employed by the dental office, you're already employed by the dental office, and they're obviously in support of you furthering your education. So on that facet, you would be paid. Now, if you're a student not sponsored by a dental office, and we'll talk more about that in a second, then no, the placement would not be paid because you're a student, not an employee. If that makes sense.
Thanks for that clarification, Marissa.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so what are we going to talk about next here? Let's talk about just fundamental admission requirements. So for those that are wondering how to apply, how to even start, do I qualify? Their admission requirements are straightforward. First, you meet with myself. You speak with me about why you want to be a dental assistant, what made you go into this field, or maybe you're already in an office and your dentist had said, or your office manager has said, I'd like for you to get trained. We'll have a conversation about that. Having your high school diploma or equivalent meaning a GED, mature student or adult ed diploma, or the completion of our Willis College entrance assessment, student questionnaire and literacy assessment as well. Pretty straightforward. If you're already working in the field, it's pretty straightforward. If not, it is just gauging your reading comprehension, basic skill sets of that nature. We want to ensure that our students are going to be successful, and applying these assessments and questionnaires will certainly give us that the edge as far as making sure that our students are prepared for not just the program, but the career. And then standard, I will say admission requirements, waivers will be completed for having an immunization form with the TB, tuberculosis 1 and 2 signed by a doctor, as well as the vulnerable sector check. Waivers, when I say that, is you don't need to have them in place when you apply for the program. Once you've been accepted, then at that point, before you start, you'd be required to provide, the vulnerable sector check, ideally before you go to the dental office, if required. The CPR and first aid level C is a program requirement, so that would need to be submitted within the first 3 weeks of starting. And there is a little bit of leniency, and we say, within the first 3 weeks, only because of the COVID restrictions, but hopefully sooner than later, it'll be a lot easier to get into the doctor's offices and get the criminal or vulnerable sector checks. One really, really important thing I want to stress is one of our start requirements. You're required to be employed at or volunteering at a general dental practice, a minimum of 2 days or 10 hours per week, as we discussed earlier. Now, upon applying for the program, there's a letter that you're going to be provided along with a sponsorship form for the dental office that you plan to do your placement at to complete. So we always recommend that our students go the routes of reaching out to their own dental offices. We certainly have the ability to send you to dental offices, as we have great relationships with many of the offices, not just in Ontario, but in the outskirts as well. But we like for our students to kind of own that one a little bit. We could send you somewhere. What if it's on the other end of the city for you? Or maybe you really, really, really like your dental office and you know that they would love to have you there, then certainly we give you that ability to set that up for yourself. Lisa, anything to add to that? Or Barb, sorry.
Actually, not to add to that, but we did have an admissions question. Actually, a couple of admissions questions here. Great. So is there a minimum age requirement for the program?
Minimum age requirement. You have to be 18, at least 18. Now, 17 and graduated. Barb, I think we've had someone in the past, and then we have to get the parents to sign off on a declaration of consent. So ideally 18, but if you're 17 and graduated or graduating, then obviously we can have that conversation. It's a case by case. If you're 12, no, you cannot apply for the program. And then you said there was another question.
Yeah, there is another question. So Joshua wrote, I haven't completed any grade 12 science courses in high school. Is that a requirement for your dental program?
It is not a requirement. Lisa will attest to the fact that everything you need to learn to be a dental assistant, to be a fantastic dental assistant, will be taught by her and the team of instructors to obviously make you successful in this career. Isn't that right, Lisa?
Yes. I think there's also a pre-dental course, Barb, as well, where we do an introduction to a lot of the science aspects of the course. So before you get deeper and heavier into the anatomy and physiology aspects of it in the dental sciences, you get that opportunity to get your feet wet and see what these subjects will be about.
Yeah, the pre-dental course is really a great course. It's a really broad overview of a lot of topics that you're going to be touching on. It's a great ease into the program, if you will. It's just a week long, and students really appreciate taking that and participating in that course before getting into the core part of the program. It really helps to give them a sense of what's coming, but also helps them to be familiar with some of the new terms and that. So it's not the first time they see it when they get into the regular program.
Great, that's a fantastic question.
And we have another question. And it is in regards to what you're going to get into in a second. But it says, in regards to the job grant, can offices in Gatineau participate?
Oh, I've had that question many times, and I get that Ottawa, Gatineau, that it's like a 5-minute hop, skip, and a jump away. But this job grant is particular to Ontario. What I will say is in my communications, there are Canada job grants for each province. So it would really be a matter of your dental office or a dental office reaching out to Canada Job Grant, because there are particular job grants per province, and you have to be able to justify why you would be attending an out of province school as opposed to in your own province. But I think for Gatineau, you have a leg to stand on because of the fact that, again, huge demand for dental assistants, and I believe that would be the same in Quebec. If you're working in a dental office in Ottawa, but you're from Gatineau, that might be a different situation because you're an employee. And this Canada Ontario job grant is an employee driven initiative. It's the employer who applies for the job grant, not the student, not the employee. It's the employer who drives the application, completes it, and submits it to, I'll just call it the COJG for the sake of not getting all tongue twisted. But what this Canada Ontario job grant is, it's intended to support employers in taking a greater role in workforce development. And as we said earlier, huge demand, huge need for many dental offices, not just in Ottawa, but all across Ontario and other provinces as well. So the grant provides financial support for employers who wish to provide training for an individual that's already working in the dental office, maybe dental receptionist, someone who's just doing sterilization and wants to progress and further their training, then certainly that they would apply for that or would be eligible. Another avenue some employers like to take is hiring someone who is unemployed. And looking for work, and sometimes dental offices do hire people who don't have a background or don't have the education, and just based on the merit of they're a great person and have a great personality, which of course is another thing that we look for in our dental assistant students, is having that great personality and being able to communicate. So you can hire someone who's unemployed and be eligible for a different stream of the job grant. And we can certainly talk about that in more detail, or you can reference the link there for Canada Ontario Job Grant. Or of course, contact me, because I'm more than happy to speak with you if you're this potential student, or if you're the employer. I can speak with yourself as well, as many have done so in the past and continue to, because that's what we're here to do, is help fill that void and help help employers and help our students to be gainfully employed in this field. Also, just for those employers out there, there are other ways. If you don't have someone that you are looking to train, or if you're one of those lucky offices that are fully staffed, then maybe you can tell another dental office, Willis College has this great program. It might be a good fit for, filling that void in your office. And I know a couple people on this call right now have done that and sent dental offices my way. So we thank you for that. But yeah, that's another way you can help, or even just hosting a student. We have, as I said earlier, students that go out to the placement a couple 2 days a week, or 10 hours, a minimum of 10 hours. If you could use the extra set of hands, if you're willing to do that, we're more than happy to have you on our list of employees that would love to host our students. Okay, so that's a little bit about the job grant. Any questions come up, Barb?
There is a question, and I'm going to direct this to Lisa, actually. It has to do with the 10 hours a week. So can I do my 10 hours volunteer in 2 clinics, 5 hours in one clinic, and 5 hours in another?
Okay, well, that question makes me have a few questions about that though too, because would it be because they're employed in an office, so they just want to select 2 different offices? My first initial thing that I would say about that is it would be better to be in one office, because you want to get familiar with the way the practice functions, and with the dentist and the people that you'd be working with inside the office. So just having 2 offices at the same time, I just feel like that would be more difficult to evaluate skills and to sort of see how the student's progressing because they'd be in two different places. But if there's more questions I could ask about that, I know then I could figure out why someone would want to do that. But yeah, I think it would be best if it was in one clinic.
Mhm.
Great.
And there is the declaration of the form that the sponsoring dentist signs off on, and it'll indicate, the 10 hours a week. But for that question, certainly we'll pop our email addresses and contact information in the chat box here, or Barb will do that for us. And that way you can direct any kind of questions related to the admissions or anything related to this program. You can reach out to me or Lisa, who can answer those questions about different offices, because that's kind of exactly why Barb sent that question to Lisa.
I've put Marissa's email into the chat. At this time, Lisa, did you want to talk a little bit more just about your experience with the program and students and what you've noticed while you've been teaching them?
Absolutely, I'd love to. Okay, so the students, we're doing an online classroom, and so it's kind of, I'll give you just a basic look at, what a day looks like in our classroom. And then just some of the things that I've noticed with the students as they've, progressed through this first term of the program so far with the group I currently have. And so in the online classroom, we start off every morning, and the most important thing I think is really engagement, especially in an online environment. So we start off, we review, everyone has an opportunity to share with the class, answers to some of the questions. So we start getting our brains working towards the course material. We utilize lecture style learning. So PowerPoints, we show a lot of videos to help show the students procedures and stuff, so that when they go out into their practical placements, then, they'll be connecting all those things together in meaningful ways. And we do a lot of a variety of different activities. After we go through the initial formal learning material in a lecture format, then we'll do all sorts of activities, whether it be multiple choice questions, we do short answer questions. But we also like to do a lot of group activities. So the students will be broken up into breakout rooms, and they'll do mock scenarios, practice what they would do in certain situations in the dental office. Do little research projects as well. And sometimes they'll do presentations, they'll prepare things as a group, and then we'll have group discussions where everyone can talk about experiences that they've had in their offices that relate to the material and also whatever it is that they've presented. So it kind of feels a really nice community feeling in the classroom. And because I think not only engaging with the material is important in this environment, it's also important to build the camaraderie among the students. I really feel like it helps to motivate, inspire them to continue working hard, because it's an intensive program and we have a lot of different topics and subjects and material and assignments and various things to do. And it helps build confidence in their knowledge and their skill sets working together. My students also, they do like a clinical feedback journal, and they submit that every week. So they're able to reflect on their experiences. And this is where I get to see a lot of their practical to theory connections that they're making, a lot of like light bulb moments. So we'll discuss those in class as well, to allow the students to share that. And that also builds confidence in their skills too. And they're starting to say, oh, I saw this when I first started in my placement. And then we start to learn about that more in detail. And then they'll focus maybe on how to take an x-ray this week. And, what's a bite wing x-ray or what's a PA? And they find that to be, enjoyable to do that in their placements. The other thing I wanted to just mention is also the fact that they are getting to select their own host dental clinic. So they're getting a chance also to interact with and network with people in the dental community. So a lot of students, think about what they'll do after as far as, job prospecting. And I have a few students in my class that already have a job lined up in their practice they're working at. So that's just another positive thing that I've learned from my students. What else can I say? The clinical placements as well. Like I've gotten an opportunity to get a lot of feedback from them on the students, and the students are very professional and they're able to contribute to the office in meaningful ways. And they get to see, the latest technologies that are out in the practices and the materials, and get to see how different operators function. Doing the same procedure with a different operator, you'll get to see a variety of different skill sets. And so I think that also adds to the process of learning and the students being able to analyze all that information. And mostly we've had positive experiences for the students in their placements. They are enjoying that they can do that alongside the theoretical component. And yeah, I think that's everything.
That's great. Thank you. Marissa, there's a question for you. Approximately how much of tuition is paid by employer for a sponsored student?
Ooh, that's another two-part answer for me. So if the student is already an employee in your dental office, then the maximum amount you'll be eligible for through the Canada Ontario Job Grant is $10,000. So in that case, the employer would look at funding $59.50 because the total cost of the program is $15,950. So that's scenario A. Scenario B is hiring someone who is unemployed. So that doesn't mean, and I'm very particular about this because Rob at Canada Ontario Job Grant is very specific about not hiring someone at a dental office to work for your office, but someone who is unemployed, not working, whether it's a dental office or a Tim Hortons or whatever the case is, unemployed on EI or something to that effect. If you hire someone, then the job grant becomes a maximum amount of $15,000. And then of course the employer would be responsible for just the $950. So it's impactful to hire, but I also can appreciate the value in training your staff and furthering your education, furthering your staff education, especially if you've got loyal staff and staff members that really want to excel and move forward with their career. When you have good people, you do good things for them, and I know a lot of dental offices are really lucky to have some of the assistants, the staff that they do, and that's a big part of the reason that they're putting through these job grant applications. So hopefully that answers that question in part A, part B, scenario 1 and 2.
I think that's great. We have another question along those lines. How does the dentist ensure that once he pays for the program, that the assistant will stay? Is there a binding contract? Will the doctor be refunded if the student leaves?
Okay. Great question. I know that's a question that's come up time and time again. Most dental practices, have office managers or a lawyer per se that can draft up some kind of a contract. It doesn't necessarily have to go to the legal route. A lot of offices have drafted up contracts with conditional contracts saying we will, support you, we'll sponsor you, and you'll have to stay with. I think the most common I see is 2 years, 2 years with the dental practice for 2 years. Now, compensation as far as if, let's say this person just up and left, then of course you would be reimbursed because we do have a refund policy as Willis College, and how that works is you're really only liable for the amount of time that they're in school. And then at that point, we do the refund up until, I believe, about 2/3 of the way through the program. Then there's no refund available. Correct?
50, yeah, just 50%.
50%, sorry.
Yeah. Great. I think that answers that question. There's a question on OSAP. If I don't fall into any of the scenarios that you described, Marissa, with regarding the Canada Ontario Job Grant, can I apply for OSAP?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. Our program is obviously licensed and registered with the Ministry of Ontario. So yes, OSAP is part and parcel with one of the financial options, as is second career, in all honesty. So that's something that we can talk about in more detail when we speak one-on-one. Everyone's different, whether it's, going through OSAP. Most people don't have money set aside for school. That's quite normal for us to hear. And it's our job to kind of explore all those options that are best fit for your particular situation, because everyone is different.
Great, great. Andrea has a question. So to be in a dental office participating in this program, do you have to perform all procedures? Example, oral surgery, pediatrics, endodontics, etc.
That's a Lisa question, right?
That's a Lisa question.
Yes. So the students, it's great if they have exposure to things like oral surgery and that, but as long as they're able to complete the skills that they need, so things like suctioning and restorative procedures, so they'll be able to fit the NDAB and be able to do the skills outlined in the scope of practice for the dental assistant. So it doesn't have to do all of those procedures, but I mean, it's good. Obviously, the student will benefit more from having those, but it's not necessary. If it's, say, like a general practice, but you just don't see children or something like that, then it still would qualify.
Great, great. Marissa, are the NDAEB exam fees included in the school fees?
No, they are not included in the school fees. However, I know that the job grants, second careers may cover that as one of the kind of outside still training and education costs, not necessarily the tuition, but that is something that would be covered, if not by, depending on what you're going through, second career or the Canada Ontario job grant.
Great.
As is, I should mention, so for those that are commuting, because we do actually have students that are not in Ottawa or the outskirts. We've got students from Toronto, GTA, right? And more to come, I believe, in our next intake. So for those, Canada Ontario Job Grant covers also a portion, or sets aside a portion for travel costs incurred. So that obviously is also a help to the dental office. I believe the maximum is $500. And the touch points, of course, for when they're on campus is halfway through the program, and the last 2 weeks of the program is when they would be here. So that's when those accommodations would come in handy. And we do have a hotel right across the street, so nobody has to drive all around the city. And we're continuously working with some other organizations to help with that aspect of it, because it can be kind of costly to come to the city for a couple weeks. We've had students that have shared accommodations because they're all in the same class. They get to know each other, which answers Zamia's question, because our lectures are Zoom, right, through the Zoom outlet. So they get to know each other just as you would if you were in person in class. So some of them just do shared accommodations if they're from out of town, and I think that's the route that a couple of our students are taking. But we're pretty resourceful, so if you need help with that, that's something that we can certainly reach out to the community and see what we can do to help you with that as well.
Great. Lisa, so Allison would like to know, regarding the theory, is there any live Zoom classes?
Well, that's our format.
Yeah.
That's how we offer, that's actually how we deliver the program for the whole theory component of it. So yes.
Great. So they're on live with you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 5 hours. You're there to deliver the lecture, answer all their questions, provide any help and support they need, clarification. They work in groups. They just like as if they were in a classroom, only they're on a screen. Right? Exactly. Same kind of interaction. Yeah.
We bring the classroom to you, is what we like to say.
Yeah. Excellent.
You just won't get the dental fumes at home like you would in the actual lab, right? You know what I'm talking, everyone knows what I'm talking about. You go into the dental office and there's that dental office smell. You won't have that at home, or you probably won't, not sure.
Okay. Zamia wants to know, is there an exam for this course?
As part of the entrance requirements and admission requirements, there are. As part of the program, absolutely, yes. It's school, so part and parcel with being a student is homework, reading, and exams.
Absolutely. I'm thinking maybe she's indicating for admissions because she wants to know when the next one is. I'll put Marissa's email again into the chat, but feel free to reach out to Marissa at any point in time and she can chat more with you.
Sorry, Barb, was that Zamia?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I know who she is, so I'll reach out.
Excellent, excellent, great. I'm just going through here. So if a student who lives in another city outside Ottawa, how do they find a dental office to work in?
That's a great question, because I have developed a lot of great working relationships with a lot of dental offices who were not familiar with the dental assisting distance program. And we've been able to partner our students up with placements outside of Ottawa for sure. And if we're talking about the outskirts, absolutely. I have a couple people that I go to for help with that in case I need, but we're pretty resourceful. And I think I can, as far as our career services and placement services, they're fantastic at what they do, very connected with the dental community as well. So that is certainly something that we can be of assistance with.
Great. It's good to know that I don't have to live in Ottawa in order to be able to attend this course. I have another question here. Do I need a high school diploma or a GED to take this course?
No, not necessarily. If you don't have a high school diploma or GED or mature student diploma, we do have a Willis College entrance assessment that you can complete that will fulfill that requirement.
Great. And I think I'm just scrolling back through, but I think I hit all the questions. Is there, if I missed yours, or if anybody else has any questions, if you want to put it in the chat, we will be, oh, actually, let me go over here. Sorry. How long does the unemployed person have to be unemployed in order to be eligible for the COJG?
The answer I had for that was just unemployed and on EI. So with EI, there's obviously that 2-week waiting period, the record of employment and whatnot. So as long as they're on EI, if they're unemployed and not on EI, maybe they're, supported by their family. That's a good question, but that's a question that certainly Rob at our employment liaison can answer, and I'll reach out to him. But his answer to me was unemployed status, they're eligible. Again, if they were recently employed, quit their job to jump ship to another office, that's where it gets tricky. But I believe he has a more particular questions if that is the case. For those that are unemployed and being hired, there's other questions that are asked on the job application, job grant application for that. And in speaking about that, going back to Zamia, sorry, I didn't answer one of her questions, which was when is your next class, which is April 4th. I do have a few seats left in the class. I also have quite a few applications coming through. So still space in the class, but it's getting to that point of almost no space in the class. So if you're interested, reach out to me.
Great. And so they would just email you if they wanted to reach out to you?
Yeah, honestly, send me an email and then we can set up a time to speak, Zoom, whatever mode of communication you'd like. We'll set up a time to speak in more detail, go through the details of the application and go from there. You can actually also put my phone number there, Barb, 613-518. 3897. 3897. I never call myself. So 3897. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. One more question here. Can a student gain part-time employment to earn some living expenses during the program?
I can't see why not. A lot of our students actually do work while they're in school. So I don't see why there would be an issue with that, as long as you can manage, school and work, and outside obligations, not an issue at all.
Any other questions that we might have for Lisa or Marissa?
I think Andrea's other question there was, do courses start at any time? We do have particular start dates throughout the year. And by request of actually the dental community, we added a couple classes this year, because typically it's, September and January, but we actually added a few because we're trying to help fill that void and demand for dental assistants in the industry. So we added a couple classes, but they're they're filling up very quickly. So to answer your question, Andrea, yes, there are certain times of the year. So April 4th is our next one, and after that would be July.
Great. Okay. Any other questions?
These are great
No.
questions. We've
They
done
are.
a lot of these, and these are fantastic questions. So keep them coming.
Okay. If there's no more questions, I would like to thank everybody for taking the time to attend this webinar, gain a little bit more information on our dental assisting distance program. We're really proud of it. We think it's a wonderful program. Employers are really enjoying having the students in their offices, and I think it's a win-win situation for students and for employers. So if you have any other questions, anything else comes up, there's a question here from Joshua. I think you said that there are weeks that we have to come to campus. Do you have residency at your school? I'm not in Ottawa.
So no, we don't have residency per se, but again, we're pretty resourceful. There is a hotel across the street. We have students that, do Airbnb or homestay program. Certainly some things that we can discuss more on a one-on-one, but we actually do accommodate and help our students with finding accommodations. If that's something that you need assistance with, that's what we're here to do. Anything that'll make it manageable and feasible for you to get your career going.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you, Marissa. So thank you, Marissa. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We've really enjoyed answering your questions and having you here with us. And we hope to see you and provide more information for you in the Dental Assisting Distance program. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thanks. Bye.